Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is Wimbledon 2025 draw preview and prediction time. Cannot wait to get into this one. It is an absolutely stacked lineup, I have to say. Arguably the most stacked first round matchups I've seen at Wimbledon, potentially at a Grand Slam ever. And it could just be recency bias. But honestly, some of these matchups are ridiculous. I haven't looked at the draw in depth. I've just seen a glimpse of some of the matchups. And I also have the projected quarterfinals in front of me. Before we do get into it, though, remember that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating review if you're listening on a podcast platform. As always, we're going to go through every single match and ultimately work our way through the draw and give you guys our champion. What's interesting as well is that because we've been at qualies, we'll have a good insight on the qualifiers and be able to let you guys know what could potentially happen with those qualifiers again in some of the matchups and who's dangerous, who isn't, as we work our way through the draw. But there are some dangerous qualifiers, especially on the women's side. So we'll get into that in a second. Before we do, though, let's talk projected quarterfinals. Sabalenka is the number one seed, of course, and the number one player in the world. Krejcikova is the reigning champion. Sabalenka is projected, though, to play Madison Keys in the first projected quarterfinal. That will be a blockbuster match, of course, because Madison Keys beat Sabalenka, an absolute thriller, in the Australian Open final. And then they played again on the clay, and Sabalenka was, well, they played again after that, and Sabalenka was quite convincing in her victory over Madison Keys. But on the grass, I think Keys is also very, very skilled. I think she's got a good game for grass. And for Sabalenka, I think she's got a fantastic game for grass. But the question is going to be, how does she fare on it, especially movement wise, because she hasn't played Wimbledon for a couple of years due to injury, also the ban as well. So we'll see. That'll be a really good match. I hope we get that one. Jasmine Paolini versus Zhang Xinwen is the other projected quarterfinal. That's an interesting one. I think Paolini has had some good results on grass recently, but also some surprising losses as well. She did make the final of Wimbledon last year, losing to Barbara Krejcikova. Could she at least make a quarterfinal berth? We'll see. For Zheng Xinwen, I think she's got the game to do well on grass. I think for her, it's just going to be about adapting to the surface more than anything. I think she is definitely most comfortable on the clay, and that shows in her results. And the lower bouncing balls, the slice, it's going to be interesting to see how she does approach this tournament, and more importantly, what's her level going to be like? Because she's a superstar in the making. The question is she a superstar on grass? Mira Andreeva versus Jessica Pegula is the third one. Pegula's been in good form on the grass. I think she's got a good game for it. Short backswing, takes the ball early, and that's a real plus on grass. She's also a very good mover. I think she's quite comfortable moving on the grass. Returns well the serve. I think she's got a pretty good slice serve, so that's quite potent on the grass. And then, the drop shot volleys, I wouldn't say they're extremely natural to her, but they're also not bad shots in her locker. But Miranda Andreeva, she's got an incredible amount of variety and tools to utilize the young 18-year-old. But the question for her is going to be, how does she fare on a surface where she's very inexperienced? And the question is, I don't know. She's got a very good forehand slice, which gets out of trouble, and it's a good thing to throw in there as variety. And I think she's had a lot of success with it on the clay. A good drop shot, good lob, very quick across the ground. It'll be interesting to see how she moves on the grass at Wimbledon specifically. The serve is big. She can return well. It's more going to be, how can she adapt to the conditions? If she adapts well, she should get some good results here. If she makes the quarterfinals, you could argue it's a 50-50, I think, against Pegula. Swiatek and Goff is the fourth projected quarterfinal. A lot of people might have thought anyway before this week that Swiatek probably wasn't going to make even a second week of Wimbledon. She has had some good results there recently, and she's made a final, her first grass court final ever. So she'll play Coco Goff in that fourth projected quarterfinal potentially. And for Goff, she's coming off a very exciting Roland Garros win, of course, after she beat Arina Sabalenka in dramatic fashion, in very dramatic fashion. Coco, there's some issues on the forehand on grass. She gets rushed, and it's quite a big swing, a lot of backswing. doesn't tend to shorten it. I think it's not particularly natural for her to do so. The backhand though is great because it's flat, short take back. I think is pretty good in that regard. And then what I would also say is that the serve should be good on grass because she's got a big serve and the slicer's not bad either. Returning wise, I think she can jab and block and she'll get the job done. She's pretty good at the net. Also moves pretty well. I think the biggest crux or yeah, biggest crux of her game, or crutch, sorry, even in her game on grass is that forehand. Um, we saw that last year against Emma Navarro. They traded forehand to forehand. Emma Navarro managed to boss that and got the win in the end. So I'm sure she would have looked at that post match and they'll be thinking of a plan on how to avoid that happening at Wimbledon this year round. Okay, so let's get into the draw. Sabalenka, the number one seed, plays Carson Branstein. Carson Branstein is a qualifier, and she is a very explosive player. Think of, if you haven't seen her play, think of Elena Rybakina. We talked to her twice at Wimbledon. The most recent one was after she just beat her final round opponent at qualifying. Anthony talked to her. Go check that out on our YouTube. It's a separate interview. Very interesting insight. But she's very confident. She essentially, to paraphrase, thinks that when she's on court, she feels like she is always the better player in terms of the level she's able to bring to the table. I think a lot of elite players have that same feeling. And I'm sure Sabalenka is one of them. So this will be a real test for Carson Branstein, probably the hardest test of all right now, anyway, in women's tennis, you could argue. For Sabalenka, she could at times be getting out hit from the back of the court. So she's going to have to dig in a little bit to her variety, the drop shot, as well, the slice and dicing. And yes, she will have moments where she's just able to overpower the Canadian. But the one thing that Carson Branstein will do is fight, and she's going to really fight. She came from the college system, and this is her first proper year on tour as a singles player on the pro tour. So look, she will come in with nothing to lose. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to pick Sabalenka, but don't be surprised if Branstein at least takes a set of Sabalenka. I could see it happening. She's got massive serve, long levers. It's, as I said, it's a very Elena Rybakina type style, and we know that Rybakina has troubled Sabalenka historically. Lulu Sun, who had a very good run last year, of course, plays Marie Buzkova. I'm going to go with Lulu Sun. I think she'll be able to recapture some of that glory she had last year. Why not? Then we've got two Brits going up against each other in Emma Raducanu and Ming Zhu, who's a wild card. I'm going to go with Raducanu. I think she should get through that. Ming Zhu's a relatively exciting young talent, but I'd be surprised if she beats Raducanu. There's a lot of pressure on Raducanu, though, I have to say, because she's coming up against another fellow Brit, also another young player who really has nothing to lose. Vondrousova plays Kessler in the first round. It's a tough match for Vondrousova, who's unseeded. I'll go with Vondrousova. She won the title 2 years ago. She's looked pretty good this year, winning Berlin. So she's looked pretty good on grass, anyway, specifically. Hopefully her body holds up. She's fit and healthy. I think she'll definitely be trouble for anyone who she plays in this draw. Elise Mertens plays Linda Frovitova, interviewed her as well. Very confident 20-year-old, playing some good tennis, big serve, big ground strokes as well. Maybe doesn't have the variety that you might need to be a champion at Wimbledon right now, but she has, she's won a junior Wimbledon, if memory serves me correctly. She likes the grass. Elise Mertens, though, is a pretty tricky customer. I'm going to go with the variety of Elise Mertens. Anne Lee and Victoria Golubic will go with Golubic. Sasnovich, a qualifier versus Krejcikova. Didn't speak to Sasnovich. I didn't actually get to watch her much either. I'm going to go with Sasnovich to get the win, though, from what I've seen. Krejcikova, not too bad on grass, but I'm going to go Sasnovich. Svitolina, Bonda will go Svitolina. And I'm going to go with Badosa to beat Bolter. I think she could lose that. Bolter's good on grass. But Badosa, if she's playing to her potential, should get through that. I think Bolter is a little bit limited. And every player's got weaknesses, but I feel like she's actually a little bit more limited than Badosa, in my opinion. The question is going to be, how fit is Badosa? Because she's had a lot of back issues. If that is an issue, I think Bolter will win quite convincingly. It's going to be a very, very tough match. Minin and Gadecki, I'll go with Gadecki to get through that one, and Tadoni to beat Buxa. Vekic to beat Kimberly Burrell, who is a very tough customer, Kimberly Burrell. But Vekic had a good run last year to the semi-finals, and she struggled initially in the grass court swing. She's picked up a couple of decent wins, including Schneider after losing to her first up. And now I've got Eala Annie Fernandez, who should be pretty good on grass with her game. Doesn't have a big serve, but lefty, slice and dice, takes the ball early. You'd expect her to do well on grass. But I think, look, with a lot of these players, they might have the style to succeed on grass, but it's not just about style, it's about confidence in your movement and adjusting to the different surface. It's just very different to clay, and there's not many matches played on grass, many tournaments. So if you don't make a run at a tournament prior to Wimbledon, you're going in pretty cold. I'm going to go Fernandez to get the win over wildcard from Britain Hannah Klugman. She did beat Fravitova in the last year's qualifying. Very good win, but I just think this might be a tricky one for her. Peyton Stearns, I think, to beat Sigmund. It's a tough one for Peyton, though. Olga Danilovic versus Zhang Shui. Zhang Shui. I think Danilovic for me. Madison Keys beat Rusa. Then we also have. Okay, we've got Pauline to beat. Sorry, let me. Anastasia Sevastova. Rakimova a Ito. We'll go for Rakimova. Eva Lee to beat Wanyu. Nozko to beat Para. Halad Meyer to beat Shamkova. Dart to beat Galfi. Wickmeyer to beat Zarazua. And Nissamova to beat Potenseva. I think she just got too much firepower for Potenseva, in my opinion. Schneider to beat Uchijima. Parry and Martic. We'll go with Diane. Wow, Diane Parry. The only issue, not issue, but the only drawback in her game on grass is the backhand, which is so good on clay, but she's just not. I talked to her after a match and I asked her about the lack of drive backhands because she was just slicing a lot. She's got a very good slice, no doubt. It's a very good weapon on grass. But I do think her one hander is good enough and potent enough to drive one hander that actually she should be at least changing it up. And if she wants to hit majority slices, fine, but there should be 30% drive backhands in there, right? She was hitting, I reckon I could count on one hand the amount of one handers she hit, and drive one handers she hit in that match, in her second round match that was of qualifying that I watched from start to finish. The slice is good, but at times she was hitting it almost at shoulder height, and that's when she just needs to rip the backhand. She's got such a potent one. If she's feeling more comfortable on it, I think she could do some damage. I'll go with Parry, but I'm not convinced. Ons Jabeur against Tomova is not an easy first round. We'll go with Ons, but yeah, I guess the win against Paolini is a step in the right direction. Can she capitalize on it? We'll see. Sonny Cartel versus Ostapenko. Cartel could win this. She's very consistent. Ostapenko can be very error prone. She had a decent run last year, Ostapenko, to the second week. I would expect her to get through Ostapenko because I think she's got more quality than Cartel, but it just depends on what Ostapenko turns up on the day because, to be honest, if Cartel is, I don't think her level is going to drop too much. If Ostapenko is not playing well, she could easily lose. And I don't really know what Ostapenko is going to turn up. I mean, historically speaking, it's been very very unknown, like how she's going to play. But I'm going to go with Ostapenko. Kruger to beat Stos Savlevich. Pavlyuchenkova, Tomjanovic. We're going to go with Tomjanovic. Osaka to beat Talia Gibson qualifier. Zheng Xinwen to beat Siniakova. Andreeva to beat Maya Sharif. Teichmann, Bronzetti, Teichmann for me. Baptiste and Castella. We'll go with Baptiste. Should be in some decent form. Freck Potapova will go with Potapova. No, frag. That's crazy. Crazy pick for me. Krejcikova, reigning champion versus Alexandra Eala, who's been playing some good tennis. She lost to Maya Joint today in the final at Eastbourne, but she was playing well. It's a tough match for Krejcikova first round. Eala will have a lot of fans as well, Filipino fans coming to watch. It's a tricky matchup, but I think Krejcikova should get through it, so I'll pick her to get through it. Dollar to beat Rus, Kudermetova to beat Zhu, Kvitova, Navarro will go with. I mean, Navarro on grass is quite good. If this was clay, even though Kvitova is better on grass, I might actually pick Kvitova. But I think on grass, even though Kvitova has won Wimbledon a couple of times at this stage of her career, she's not as potent on grass, of course, as she used to be. I'm going to go Navarro. Mukhova to beat Wang Jinyu, Zeynep Sonmez to beat Jacqueline Christian, sorry, even. Eva Jovic to beat Susan Lamens. Priscilla Hon versus Ekaterina Alexandrova. It's a tough match for Priscilla Hon, but she had a very good qualifying. I thought she was quite impressive, and she's quite a disruptor in the way that she plays. Could make it quite tricky for Alexandrova. I'm going to go with Priscilla Hon to get the win. Lynette to beat Giacomo. Parks to beat Bencic. Oh, that's a tough one. Though Bencic is not bad on grass. Parks. No, I'm going to go Bencic. Voynich. Oh no, Tatiana Maria is it? Oh man, you don't want to. You do not want to draw her. You do not want to draw her. I'm gonna go Tatiana Maria. She's gonna frustrate Voynich so much. Bakula to beat Gochiretto. Shriontek to beat Paulina Kudermetova. McNally Burridge. We'll go Burridge. Wild card. Collins to beat Osorio on grass. Yep. Kostrick to beat Edjovic. Towson to beat Heather Watson. Wild card. Yes. Kalinskaya to beat Nina Stojanovic. Depends on how good Kalinskaya is going to play. Like, how's she feeling physically? I have absolutely no idea. No idea. I have zero idea. Someone tell me. How's she feeling? How's she looking? Maria Sakkari and Blinkova. Well, Sakkari, but I'm not convinced. Okay. So that leaves us with Rebecca to beat Evanesian, Kazakina to beat Arango, Begu to beat Huvan, Sarah Dobseva to beat Francesca Jones wildcard. Yep. I'm going to go Maya Joint to cause the upset and beat Ludmila Samsonova, who's had a pretty good grass court swing. Pretty high on Maya Joint, though. Taylor Townsend versus Sophia Kenin. Great first round match. I'm going to go Townsend. Seidel qualified to beat Monero. Zakharova, she is dangerous. I want to go with her to beat Azarenka. She is quality. She was in qualies. She's quality. And Azarenka is pretty good on grass, but it's not a hard court. And Coco's got a tough first round match, by the way, against Yastremsko, who is, I mean, she's dangerous on grass. Big serve, huge weapons from the back of the court. Very erratic, obviously, at times, but when it clicks, it's dangerous. We go Coco, though. I think she should be able to navigate her way through that. Sabalenka to beat Lulu Sun. For me, Raducanu, if she plays Vondrousova, it's a real bad matchup for her. She wants to play someone who's got power, she can utilize that pace a little bit, or someone who is a bit more of an all-rounder. I think Vondrousova is just so tricky to play. Lefty, high ball, slice, just it's not nice for anyone to play against. I think she's playing too well at the moment. So Vondrousova, Mertens beat Golubic, Svitolina beat Sasnovic, Podolski to beat Gadecki, Vekic beat Tadoni, Fernandez or Stans, Fernandez. I'm going to go with Danilic and Keys. I mean, Keys could lose that, but Danilic might struggle with the power of Keys. So I'll go Keys. Paulini should be Rakimova. Noskova should be Ivelisse. Haradmeyer, Dart, Haradmeyer for me. Anisimova to beat Wickmeyer. Nader to beat Diane Parry. What a second round. Jabbar Ostapenko. No Jabbar. No Jabbar. Tomjanovic to beat Kruger. Yeah, okay. Osaka Junction Wen. Disgusting matchup. Disgusting. That's crazy. What a good matchup. Osaka's draws have been so bad. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're not seeded, but so bad. We'll go Osaka. Am I going to go Osaka, really? She's not super comfortable on it, though, is she? No, we're not. We're going to go Jason one. Mirandre to beat Teichmann, that's a tough match. Very tricky, though. Freck to beat Baptiste. Krejcikova to beat Dollarhide. Navarro to beat Veronica Kudermetova. Tough one, though. So many of these could easily go the other way. Mokhova to beat Zeynep Sonmez. Priscilla Hon to beat Eva Jovic. Bencic to beat Lynette. Pagula. Oh, I mean, Tatinga Maria is a nightmare. We'll go Pagula. You should have too much quality. Swiatek to beat Jodie Burrage. Collins to beat Kostyuk. Towson to beat Kanskaya. Rabakina to beat Sakari. Kasakina to beat Begu. Maya Joint to beat Stara Dubseva. Townsend to beat Seidel. Oh, man, Goff's draw is not good. It's not good. Yeah, Strumska and then Zakharova. No, man, that's not nice. She's got a tough. She could easily lose in the first second round. I'm telling you, it's tough. But we'll go Goff. With a champion's mindset, she should get through. Find a way. Recent Grand Slam champ. Look, man, Sabalenka is the favorite, in my opinion, but she could lose to Vondrousa. Run her route to the final, to the title, is so bad. It is so bad. It's one of the worst. It's one of the hardest routes I've ever seen recently on the women's tour for a Grand Slam. If she were to win, I think the only one that was the only one that was is a very near miss recently was Jabeur in 2023. I think she beat like 4 Grand Slam champions back to back to back to back. She beat the Andreescu, Kvitova, Sabalenka, Rybakina, and then she lost to Vondrousova. I mean, if she'd won that, that would be ridiculous. But this is equally as bad, I would say. It's just so bad. I don't know. I'll have to come back to this one. Sabalenka Vondrousova. It's actually a 50-50 for me. She just Vondrousova has beaten Sabalenka convincingly recently as well on grass. Sabalenka, I think, dismantles the majority of the opposition, apart from maybe Vondrousova, Rybakina. I don't know who else would trouble her on grass on paper. Okay, Goff to beat Townsend. Let's go bottom up. Kasakina to beat Joint. Yeah. Rybakina to beat Townsend. Swiatek to beat Collins on grass. She's playing pretty well. She's confident. I'm going to go Collins. To cause the upset. I'm going for it. Pagula to beat Bencic. She could lose that. She could lose that. She could easily lose that. Hmm. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Priscilla Hon Mukhova will go with Priscilla Hon. No, Mukhova. It just depends on how fit Mukhova is, but on grass with her variety, she's a nightmare to play against. Navarro could cause problems for Krejcikova if they play. That would be a tough one. There's some ridiculously good matchups on the women's side. Like, how do you even pick who wins in these matches? It's just so hard. They play quite similarly. I mean, Krejcikova's got a better serve. Navarro's a better returner, but in terms of off the ground, there are some similarities. Both use a lot of variety. I'd say Navarro's more athletic. Krejcikova's got a bit more power behind her ground stroke. I'd also say that she comes to the net more. Go Krejcikova. Andreeva to beat Freck. Could lose that. Janshin went to beat Tomjanovic. Okay. Schneider to beat Jabeur. Yeah. And Nisamo to beat Hadamir. I am lost. Guys, I'm telling you, this is just. I What is going on? Like, this depth is just insane on the women's tour right now. Like, okay, crazy. It's crazy. Noskova Paulini. Can anyone say for certain who's going to win these matches? Because I can't. I am thinking in my head, how does it play out? Paulini. Keith Fernandez. Vekic Badosa. Vekic. Vekic. Vekic, yes. Svitolina, Mertens, Svitolina. I want to hear Sabalenka to beat Vondrousova, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Sabalenka should beat Svitolina. He should beat Vekic. Paulini and Isamova will come back to that. Andreeva Krejcikova. I mean, Krejcikova might struggle a bit actually against Andreeva. How high am I on Andreeva on grass? That is really the question, isn't it? That's the question that everyone is asking. No one's asking it, but yeah, that is the question that we're asking. Like, how high is Faizan on Mira Andreeva? Because question is, she lost to Noskova recently in Bad Homburg in the quarterfinals. Beat Towson, lost to Freck. I'm not high on her. I'm not high on her. Chikova. Schneider to beat Zheng Shenwen. Nisimowa to beat Paolini for me. Going for the big hitters, a lot of them. Oh no, what's happened? I missed some. Yeah. Okay, Mokhova, Pogula. Pogula. Rebecca to beat Collins. Got to beat Kazakina. That leaves us with quarterfinal. Oh, sorry, leaves us with round of 16. Whoa. No, this is quarterfinals, isn't it? Yeah, quarterfinals. Quarterfinals of Sabalenka Keys and Nisimova Schneider, random. Krejcikova, Pagula, and Rebecca Goff. What's the Rebecca Goff head to head? I would imagine that Goff is quite troublesome for Rebecca, no? So they've only played once. What? Goff won in Canada on hardcourt of a 7-6 final set. On grass, I have to pick Rebecca now. I think it's if she makes it that far. I mean, Goff, Goff can't really counter out, but I'm gonna pick one, so I'm gonna go with Goff. So I'm gonna go with Rebecca now. See, in my brain, I'm like flip flapping. Pagula and Krejcikova. Krejcikova's been struggling a little bit with the thigh, I know, or hamstring. I know it was preventative her pulling out of Eastbourne, but that doesn't give me great confidence because she has struggled with injuries a lot recently. I'm gonna go with Pagula. Schneider and Isamova. Schneider's a tricky customer. And Isimova's been playing some really good tennis. I'd say career best tennis this year. Go with Anisimova. He's Sabalenka. I mean, Sabalenka, her route is so tough. But if she were to get through with Vondrousova and then Svitolina, with Madison Keys in the quarters, man, that is such a good match. I really hope, please, I hope we get it. I hope we get it. That is actually my most anticipated match for this Wimbledon. If we get it, I'm a happy man. I'm going to go Sabalenka, but with absolutely zero certainty. Okay, semi-finals of Sabalenka, Nisimova, Pagula, and Rabakina. Rabakina to beat Pagula, Sabalenka to beat Nisimova. I mean, this isn't that wild a pick, is it? For a grass court tournament at Wimbledon. Sabalenka and Rabakina final. And I think if they hadn't played recently and Sabalenka hadn't just saved 4 match points and then gone on to win in the final set tiebreaker, I might have picked Rabakina. But I do think that gives Sabalenka a bit of a mental edge. Rybakina tends to be able to get over this stuff quite well, but yeah, I'm going to go with Sabalenka to win Wimbledon. Not that crazy a pick, but on route there's some absolutely mad matchups. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember to hit that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you on the next video.